Hello, we're Group 22 and this is our Accounting Information Systems project. The group members are surreyais, Amy Milgate, Rachel David and James Selby. We've chosen to do our report on the John Lewis department store. John Lewis is a department store that has concessions. Their target market is households and families. They sell everything from wine glasses to hoovers to children's clothes. Although they stock fashion clothing, younger generations often choose to shop in clothes-only stores. However, it is easy for families to get all their items in one store. John Lewis is a community and family-orientated store. Their promise is never knowingly undersold. This means they offer the best price to consumers, even if it means a price match with competitors. Also, one of their main objectives is customer service, and they pride themselves on this. The business model is the John Lewis Partnership. It includes Waitrose, Greenbee and John Lewis. They all have interlinking objectives and ideas. John Lewis operate a click and collect system from their website. This means customers can order their goods and pick them up in store and pay for them there as well. This means they don't have to get it delivered to their own homes and then take it back. They can decide on the day. To purchase an item from the John Lewis website, you have to set up an online account and then they'll send you personal emails depending on what individual customers buy. This means they can directly advertise to them. There's also a delivery click and collect system, so when a customer does order a product, they can choose whether to collect it in store, to get it delivered to their home, or to pay for it later. Payment is all via credit and debit cards. This means that it's accessible for almost every customer. There's also a partnership card option, so they can pay via this, meaning they can collect points and spend these in store. This allows customers to return to the store for what they need.
Entity relationship diagrams are a graphical representation of entities and their relationships to each other. ER diagrams are typically used in computing in regard to the organisation of data within databases or information systems. An entity is a piece of data, an object or concept about which data is stored. A relationship is how the data is shared between entities. Cardinality specifies how many instances of an entity relate to one instance of another entity. There's one-to-many relationships, one-to-one relationships and many-to-many relationships. Ordinality is also closely linked to cardinality. While cardinality specifies the occurrences of a relationship, ordinality describes the relationship as either mandatory or optional. In other words, cardinality specifies the maximum number of relationships and ordinality specifies the absolute minimum number of relationships. As you can see, we chose to use customer, order, payment, order items, product and suppliers as our entities. A schema is the most appropriate way to represent the contents of the ER diagram. This is simply a list of entities and attributes which is then used to create a database upon this data.
Access has been used to create tables for the customer, supplier and order information. The tables are linked together by foreign keys, which will be a supporting factor for the journals, daybooks, purchase and sales ledger accounts in regards to accounting for John Lewis. The diagram which is used is different to the ER diagram created in Gliffy. The diagram created in Gliffy is a conceptual ER diagram. Its objective is to represent the real world using the ER model, whereas the ER diagram created in Access is known as a logical ER diagram. The tables are created by using the information in the ER diagram and created in design view so we could alter the data type and create input masks and drop-down lists to improve usability. This would be similar to a John Lewis database but on a much larger scale. To enhance the database we would create a form which would allow us to input information without directly using the tables, reducing the risk of errors. We created particular relationships between the tables to link them together, enabling us to extract certain information from different places and make links between them, analysing and illustrating them in Excel.
By using the data from the Access database, we created the following diagrams. This pie chart shows which departments customers generally buy from, displaying that the most popular department is currently gardening. The pivot chart is comparing how people have paid, how much they bought and which department they bought it from. This clearly shows that the most transactions were paid for on Visa, and women's wear was by far the most popular department. This benefits John Lewis because they know which department is visited the most and can now invest capital into processes that help develop payments and the overall shopping experience. This also encourages John Lewis to advertise the partnership card in a better way because it is not the preferred way of paying. If more people paid via the partnership card, this would be more profitable for John Lewis, whilst the customers earn rewards on each pound they spend.
It's fundamental to create accounting, sales and purchase ledgers. The ledgers show specific transactions between customers, the company and suppliers. They also show the taxes and discounts made on the products including VAT. The sales ledger shows an example of all the receivable accounts to John Lewis on a smaller scale. There is a brought down debit value from the previous period which indicates this money is still owed to John Lewis. In other words, customer payments have been accrued. This could be due to the click and collect payment method. Credit sales is the total value of orders they have received, whereas receipts show the payments that have been received. Returns inwards are the goods sold on credit to a customer but are then returned due to being unwanted or damaged. This effectively decreases John Lewis's receivables, resulting in a loss of potential sales. The bad debt acquired is a debt that is not collectible and therefore worthless to the creditor. In John Lewis's case, an example of this would be if a customer decided to use the click and collect option but then fails to pick up their order. The payment would not be received, but it has already been accounted for in the credit sales. The purchase ledger also shows an example of all the purchase accounts to John Lewis on a smaller scale. The purchases debited represent the inventory bought in from suppliers. In other words, John Lewis has £2,415 worth of stock able to be sold to the consumers. You see the purchases from each supplier on the debit side and how much has been bought from each. The discounts received show the discounts that the suppliers have allowed from bulk buying or for advance payments. Additionally, the goods returned indicate money going into John Lewis's account in the form of a product that the customer has sent back. However, this would be credited in the sales ledger because essentially no money has been made and it is to more stock to be sold again. Similarly to the sales ledger, the purchase ledger also needs to be balanced. In this example, John Lewis has £770 of excess purchases, which is carried down into the next period of time to be sold.
In our opinion, John Lewis cleverly used accounting information systems to give the customer a user-friendly service. However, some improvements that could be made are John Lewis having fewer suppliers. This means that each delivery would be quicker and also they could have more deliveries. They also could promote the click and collect facility, enabling fewer home deliveries to be made, which saves them money in the long run. The information systems that John Lewis have in place can be difficult to change once fully functional. Therefore, they must have reliable members of staff within the company to address these changes upon request. Therefore, they should spend a lot longer time on employing good, reliable staff. The partnership card could also be promoted more, as this could increase sales whilst enticing customers to shop with John Lewis in order to receive more rewards and points, both benefiting the company and the customer. Thank you for watching.
So for once in my life, let me get what I want. Lord knows it would be the first time. Lord knows it would be the first time.